So today is a good day where finally women have been recognised to exist. And it's funny, but it kind of saddened me how emotional I felt about the ruling today. And I think it highlighted just the cloak of madness that so many of us have felt like we've been living under for such a long time. And again, I feel like it's been since before Brexit, but it's rapidly been worse in the last 5 years since COVID. Just this relentless cloak of madness that's enveloped us and hung over us for so long. And it's only when you hear facts, plain speaking truths, openly on the news and repeated by many others, do you realise what kind of emperor's new clothes world we've been living under, and the effect that has on you? It is like a suppression. It is a depression of your kind of soul and your intellect. You know, when we've had all of this for so long about 100 genders, and a man can be a woman and a woman can be a man, or you can even be a cat. And if an adult like myself feels like this, like it has obviously affected kind of your enjoyment or your energy, or your brain's been discombobulated for so long, listening to this nonsense every day. Imagine what that has been doing to our kids in schools. You know, children that are born into this world who see things, you know, for what they are, and who accept everybody for what they are, and they don't see colour, and they don't have any agendas. And it is our education and our government who've been weaponising and disturbing our brains to a point where kids are just, unsurprisingly, so confused, because for a long time they've been taught black is white and white is black and up is down and down is up, and not to believe what they see with their own eyes. And schools have been pushing permanent division about colour or gender or toxic this. And today is a great day, but also a little depressing that it's taken these women like 5 years and a big court order to just have the biological fact that women exist. And I would love, and again, it's like that little window's opened, and I want more. I want us to go back to a place that I remember, where facts were facts, science was science, the world made sense. The world made sense. Where kids weren't taught agendas in school, where men were men, women were women. We didn't discuss the colour of your skin. When being British was great, when we revered our history, when patriots were a great thing, and it was a good thing to be a patriot, and it was applauded. I want the whole climate thing to go away, the whole climate crazy agenda, which is another agenda, discombobulation, confusion, hysteria, propaganda. I want us to go back to a time where things made sense, and where we can speak our truths without being punished or hounded or lose your job, or your friends no longer like you because you didn't believe masks worked in COVID or whatever. And I go back to, again, my childhood when I grew up with things like Monty Python, Only Fools and Horses, Open All Hours, Spitting Image, absolutely fabulous. and a time where we were quite offensive. You know, we had a lot of jokes that today people would be like, you can't say that. But in those times when there was a lot more offence, we lived in a much more polite, safe, tolerant, more respected society. And it's only in recent years, the more tolerant we've become, the more intolerant society's become, and the more divided and fractious and dangerous and agitated. We need to go back to a time where we can tell jokes. You can be slightly offensive and people move on. Because we used to have quite thick skin. We were known for it in this country. We were known for our sense of humour that was slightly fruity, slightly on the line. And yet we all rubbed along so much more easily because of it. Nobody took themselves too seriously. And we all were able to have a laugh. I just want to live in a world again where things make sense and we haven't got agendas pushed down our throats 24/7, and we just go back to plain politics that looks at health, education, energy, just the basics, without spending an inordinate amount of time on whether a man can become a woman, or whether there's 100 genders, or whether the world's ending because of climate that has changed since time began. I think we need to go back to times where things made sense and we could all take a joke and everything moved along quite happily.